Our next guest on the Any Given Runday podcast is the event director of the NI Running Show, a specialist 2-day event from the Icon Exhibition Centre in Belfast next February, where you can meet and engage with brands and experts. It's the first of its type in Ireland. Oonagh Cadigan, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. How are you getting on?
Hi guys, I'm great. Thank you very much. How are you both?
Sean is hungover. I'm going to hang him out to dry. You could tell by the intro, Oonagh. You could tell as we record, Dublin Marathon has just been completed and he is as rough as... Look at the head.
Oh, man,
it's a good thing it's a radio show, not a TV show.
I'm jealous, guys. I didn't run it. I'm jealous. I had FOMO, so I wish I was hungover, Sean. I do wish I was.
It's not something to be jealous of right now, the way I'm feeling, but it's well worth it. Yes, they're well worth it, I think.
Oonagh, you are very welcome to this very special episode of the podcast. It's a very exciting time for many reasons. We are going to talk about the expo, but a little bit about yourself, Oonagh. You do a small bit of running yourself. You keep yourself active. What's your running background?
Oh, I do. And thank you so much for having me on, guys. So my running journey started 10 years ago. I never ran until I was sort of in my early 30s. I just had my second child. I'd given up my career and my head really wasn't in a good place. And I joined a local fitness group. And that was then we incorporated a couch to 5K. And that's when I got the running bug, as everybody talks about. So 10 years ago, and I took to the roads because I was struggling, to be honest. I was struggling at home all day. I had 2 young kids. I had a husband who was working away. I had sick parents. And this was the only chance I had to get out of the house. And I used to find that by going out for my runs and it started off the whole couch to 5K and then it got more in the 10Ks and then, you register for your first half. And I'm a very proud Glenariff girl. I'm from Glenariff in the Glens of Antrim and we are spoilt for places to run. So I'm a trail runner, I'm a beach runner, I'm a mountain runner, I'm a road runner, depending on the mood and depending on probably, to be honest, my husband and if I'm, where the anxiety levels are. So 10 years ago, I sort of got myself out running and found that the more I ran, the better a wife and a mother and a daughter I was. And I've just been hooked from there. And I know myself that if I was ever to stop running, and I dread the day that I'm not allowed to run because it literally clears my head and sort of Sunday mornings you can find me in Glenara Forest Park and we're very sociable. I run with a big group of people and I chat the whole way around the trails and I get told off for talking too much, but that is my therapy, literally my therapy, and I know I don't promise to be, I'm certainly not an expert in running. I have a couple of marathons under my belt. I'm very happy with sort of that 10 miles or half marathons. Very happy on the trails because the way I look at it is for you to get up to the top of the hill or the mountain, well, you get to fly the whole way down. But yeah, sort of running genuinely saved me. I call it my therapy. I call it my coping mechanism. It's my social life. It's everything, to be honest. And I say this a lot, from the moment I waken up to the moment I go, the first thing I factor in my day is what time am I going for my run? And that's not a bad thing. I don't see it as a chore. I plan my day around when can I run, and now coming into the darker evenings it's making sure your head torch is charged and all that sort of jazz. So running is just, to me, it's my savior, and I couldn't be without it, to be honest.
How important to you is the running community? I know you've touched on a little bit. You were working in the UK or in London, I believe, for a long time, and then moving back home. Obviously, when you move away for a long time and you come back home, it's difficult to be like, nothing has changed, but everything has changed. Getting to know people. How important, and we've kind of talked about clubs and groups and coffee run clubs and the importance of the social element, because we know with a lot of team sports, it's very easy to re-engage and get in. But when you're looking at particularly post 2 kids, you're like, where am I going to get the time to meet people? Yeah. How important is the running community and how much is it growing?
How important the running community to me, as I say, genuinely, is my life. It's the best therapy I could ever find. So I'm a very proud, as I keep saying this, I'm a very proud Glens runner. We are a small but mighty club up in the northeast of Antrim, just on the Antrim Coast Road. So we're spoilt with places where we can run. We're in the trails in the Glenara Forest Park, or we're on the beach, or we have a great race called the Lurig Run, which is straight to the top of the mountain, and then we all slide the whole way down. So genuinely, I came home from London sort of having given up this super duper career and 2 kids and a husband who works away. And I was struggling. I really was struggling sort of mentally and not sure where I fitted in. And then to start the Couch to 5Ks with the Glens runners. And now, as you touched upon, definitely running has gone absolutely crazy, and it's just growing at a phenomenal pace, and that's global. I'm very much in touch with sort of running globally, whether that's the event side of things or with the suppliers and the manufacturers of product and kit. But it's just gone. I think for COVID has done us all a favour. We've learned to get out and we have to keep ourselves busy and active. And certainly, speaking personally, my social life revolves around running, and actually everybody I run with are now my friends and my good friends. And, the way I look at it is, if I can get my run at the weekends with my friends, that's my social life. Now, don't get me wrong, Sean, as I say, we do train and let's put something in the diary and then we can reward ourselves. But definitely, and even, I'm a country runner, so I'm in the sticks. But certainly when you look at the likes of the city groups, and as you mentioned, the coffee clubs, and it's just amazing. And it's a movement that I'm so, so, so proud of. And gone, well, life is changing anyhow, young people, it's not as easy to meet and there's different sort of ways of meeting people than there was, say, 15, 20 years ago. But certainly to see the run clubs and these social clubs bringing people together, and that promotion of everybody's included. I love there's phrases like out there, like, but everybody's a runner, and there's no such thing as you're not a runner. So huge. And actually, I genuinely say this a lot. There is no better therapy than going out for a run. And, sort of, as I say, I get told off for talking too much. Throw your troubles away. But yeah, it's just the most amazing thing, to have sort of improved the legacy of COVID and running was absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, God, I could talk about it all day.
You think that's so? Since COVID, people have gone out and gotten busier, because we've seen over the last 5 years, and even Dublin over the weekend, they had their biggest turnout ever that people did it.
Yeah.
And I think half that could have been just because the changes next year, and they wanted to make one last run of it, because they might get in next year. But same time, it just seems to be getting the last 5 years we've done it anyway. We've seen just a bigger and bigger growth and more people talking about it, which is great for this podcast. But it's also great if you're doing different events as well, Oonagh.
Yeah. Exactly. From an event organizer point of view, it's win-win. It was a no-brainer, to be honest, when sort of this idea or this suggestion of a running show came around. It was like, well, that's the one thing, sort of makes it all easy is the demand is there.
We travelled to the UK a couple of times, and we've been to Birmingham, myself and Sean, because we've certain interests in fitness shows. There's a quite big, Arnold Schwarzenegger has a show that happens for a 3-day event, and Sean likes to treat me, and we go over and we eat everything, and we're probably the most unfit people in the room. But
We found out pretty fast.
But what we were amazed by was a show, a show that was just dedicated, that, we didn't have to do anything. We just got to walk around and stroll around, and that was in the NEC in Birmingham, which was really, really good. I don't think there's anything quite like that here in Ireland.
No. So do you know what? This is really interesting. So as we were touching upon, I spent my career working in exhibitions. I'm an exhibition organizer as a career. And I started, the interesting thing was 20 years ago, I started working for an organizer based in England. I was London based, but the events were in the RDS in Dublin. And fast forward 20 years, and I've worked in exhibition centres all over the world. I was in New York in March, just gone there. And an event is very similar, you know, sort of the foundations are very similar. You bring together the community, you bring together the right suppliers, you bring together the visitors, you bring together talks and seminars, and there's the foundations for your event. You mentioned the NEC in Birmingham, so there is a great event in the NEC in Birmingham, and a running show there, very successful, very well thought of. It's fabulous. I just love it. And I've gone over a few times, and it was constantly, why don't we have a running show in Ireland? Why don't we have something like this? And it was sort of a couple of years ago, and again, I was out for my runs, and when I was explaining to people what do I do for a living, and this last few years I've organised events remotely. I'm based in the Glens of Antrim, but I'm back and forward to Birmingham, or back and forward to London, or as I say, New York in March, or I was in Switzerland last year as well. So to do this job, you can work remotely. And the talk was, why don't we have a running show in Ireland? And oh my goodness, we'd love to have one. And, you know, wouldn't it be great to see the products, and wouldn't it be great to meet with the suppliers, and wouldn't it be great to hear some of the talks? And actually, do you know what's even better? Wouldn't it be great to be able to come together with all our friends from our competitor clubs, and, you know, but not have to race, not have to rush off. You know that feeling when you cross the finish line and you're desperate to catch up with everybody, but then you're getting cold and you're wet and you just need to go home, and your lips have turned blue and you're too tired to even speak. Imagine if we could all hang out together. And as I said, I'm from sort of the Glens of Antrim, and we have some cracking running clubs up here with the Glens runners, and Ballymena runners would be our local sort of competitor, and there's a lot of competition between, and there is such a lovely vibe when all the communities come together. But then at the end, everybody has to rush off. And that's sort of the start of the concept of the Northern Ireland Running Show. There is the running show in England, but let's do something here. And it's been on the cards now for the last couple of years, and I've taken it on, and with a great team of support we all work together. And we reached out to the likes of Athletics NI, who are absolutely amazing. We reached out to Park Run, we reached out to the clubs, we reached out to the runners, we reached out to some of the retailers and suppliers. And we posed the question, you know, would you support this? What do you think? Would you get behind us? And unanimously, everybody said yes. How amazing is it to have an event where runners can come together? And you know what, guys, we've all turned into real bores, and my husband's not a runner. He's not a runner at all. Absolutely zero interest in runner. But he said, Jesus, when you all get together and you are talking about your shoes and what you have eaten, and
well, you put it like that.
God, like how dull. But you know yourself, we can spend hours and hours and hours talking about it. So it's just been, I am so privileged to be sitting in this seat as a runner, you know, as somebody who takes a very passionate sort of, running is the most amazing thing ever, and I could talk about it for hours. But actually then to spend all day bringing together the best suppliers and bringing together the best talks and seminars, and just creating this lovely community atmosphere where nobody has to rush off. Nobody's going to be herded around. You know, it's not like when you go and collect your bib or your race pack, you have to be in and out. And oh, look, I'd love to spend time, but do you know what?
Carb loading. Can't try this because I might get sick, or
exactly. Or, oh God, you know, I've parked the car, I've only got 15 minutes. You know, it's sort of the idea was always, look, let's choose the right venue where it's free parking. We can stay as long as we want. Let's choose the right suppliers, everything from the nutrition to the kit to the podiatrists and the chiropodists and the physios. Let's bring everybody on board. Let's then put together the seminars and the talks, everything from the nutrition to the physios to you know what? The fun. The inspirational, and, you know, sort of, it's all coming together. So the Northern Ireland Running Show will be held the 7th and 8th of February in the Icon Exhibition Centre, which is just outside Belfast. So anybody coming sort of from the south, it's very easy. As I mentioned, we have the best venue ever. So they're free parking, and it's very easy. Literally, you will park your car and roll into the venue.
And it's so fitting that it is Belfast as well, Oonagh, because it's where brought you, you know, in Antrim was where running became important for you, and obviously the rivalries with the clubs, and now the support from NI Running. It's just absolutely, our NI Athletics, it's brilliant that I suppose, to have the event on the island of Ireland that is so accessible to us now. Like, we're not looking at flights. We can take an hour, a 90-minute drive from Dublin. We can be at it. It's definitely something that excites us. And I say it from experience, having tasted a show where and literally tasted everything at a show where we didn't have that pressure you described. And I think probably post-marathon, people are probably understand that feeling, and they're probably reliving, oh yeah, what a nightmare. I'm carb loading, I've got the kids, and we're swapping. It's a Friday evening. I've got to collect my rates. It is so difficult, and that's why it's so exciting.
Yeah, very much so. And the event is for everybody. And that's what we've worked really hard for. It's for everybody, whether you're a park runner or somebody doing their first park run ever, right to, you're up to with the elites on the track. There will be something for everybody. And even the likes of the kids, we have a kids zone. Decathlon have very kindly sponsored our kids zone. So do you know what? You could plunk your kids down at the kids zone. Might have to keep an eye on them, but it'll give you then at least they get a little bit of entertainment as well. And then you can go and see what's going on, whether that's the likes of, we have VJ shoes, the trail shoes, or Decathlon, as I mentioned, and their brand Kip Running, or, the Alter Nutrition, or whatever that may be. There's a whole list. We have a tasty treat zone for you, Eric. So lots of you
Excellent.
can snack.
Have you anywhere I can leave Sean for the day?
Well, there is the kids zone. Obviously,
Yeah,
the kids zone is there. So yeah.
I don't think Decathlon have sponsored enough to mind him, but it's definitely something, and it is so family orientated as well, as most running is. And you see people that park runs with buggies. You see people just coming down for the post coffee, and they nominate one of the family to do the hard part, but they get the social element of it as well. And that's why something like this is a day out. A lot of people might have never even been to Belfast, so it's an opportunity as well to go and see something different while they're up there in the evening time. And the running show is giving them that great. You also have, as we mentioned, seminars, because one of the gripes, there's always a race briefing, or there'll always be an athlete discussion where they go through the course and what you should do and tips. And that's where our podcast, I suppose, has thrived, because people can choose when they listen to that. But with this expo, they've the opportunity to listen to some good athletes, get some extra tips and tricks, and get front row seats. We always say the podcast gives front row seats for us, for great athletes. But now this time people can actually have front row seats to athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have, I use the phrase a lot, everything's carefully curated. So we want to make sure we're appealing to everybody. So in terms of the likes of the talks and the speakers that are going on, we're delighted to welcome Paul Simpson-Hewitt, who's the founder of Park Run. So he will be coming on and he's having a chat. We also have one of our sponsors, the Ulster Independent Clinic, is bringing their best physios there. So people will be able to chat in person to physios and podiatrists without, sort of having chats where they don't get to have that anywhere else. We have the likes of nutrition talks, but we've covered everything. And sort of the beauty is, as you said, there are other events like this, just not in Ireland. So we're not really reinventing the wheel here. We're not doing anything that hasn't been done before, but certainly this hasn't been done before in Ireland, and people have the chance to get their front row seat without rushing off because the parking meter is going to run out, or because literally they've just ran in to get their bib and they need to get out, because their mind, and rightly so, when you run in to get your bib and your mind is on race day, as this is just this lovely opportunity. You're not worrying about your race. You're not worrying about your, sort of, oh, nah, I can't eat that, or God, I can't try that out. And the one thing I'm really excited as I always say this, is we all get to come together and chat, because the running community, as big and as powerful as it is, it's actually quite small. There's that real personal. I love watching at races and people are hugging each other, and when you spot somebody else who's at the start line with you, and there's hugs and all sorts. Well, that's me because I get told off for talking too much. Yeah, you're not rushing off. So then, you're not having to run away from each other.
So when people are listening to me and Eric talk to someone on the podcast being like, why did you ask this question about this injury or that? Well, you'll have a Q&A and actually get to talk to these people and spend time, not being curtailed to an hour episode of a podcast, stuff like that, because you're up there the 2 days there. It sounds absolutely brilliant, and you just kind of relax. There's this meme they had leading up to the Dublin Marathon where it's like there's two types of runners. one that's buying everything they can in the expo and going around everything, and the other is the one that's been there at least once and they had their feet up the pillows and just chilling and having a bowl of cornflakes or something like that. And it's like, because you don't get a chance just to really enjoy, like this year I hadn't a chance. I had a little bit of work to do and interviews and all the rest, but after that I saw nothing. I was gone. It was just, I just couldn't get a chance to get around to anyone or see anyone. And the one thing I kept hearing the next day in race day was, oh, I missed you at the expo. I missed you at the expo. I saw no one at the expo. Thankfully I was slow enough, I saw everyone on the track, but I saw no one at the expo on the Saturday for it.
It's one of those where that's the beauty of running shows in general. As I say, the majority of countries have one, apart from Ireland. Not now. Obviously, we're doing something about that, but there isn't that pressure. You're in a rush, or you're doing something else, or to be honest, your head is you're there. So and we've carefully picked the dates as well, because 7th and 8th of February 2026, but sort of in line with the likes of the spring training session. So when people are starting their training for whether that's a May marathon or whether that's sort of coming into the summer, at least this is a good starting block to start trying out those different gels and trying out those sort of getting familiar with the new trainers or whatever kit or whatever they need to be. So, I know myself when I do my marathons, I literally pick my kit about 6 or 7 weeks beforehand and stick to it, because I can't afford, you've invested so much of your time and your money and everything to get you to the start line. You cannot start changing your routines or cannot start changing your kit. Or maybe other people, I personally couldn't, I'm maybe old school and sort of a bit superstitious, but it's like, no, I've tried it out and it worked for me on, when I did my last 20-mile run. That's exactly what I want to wear and what I want to eat and blah, blah, blah. So, 7th and 8th February at Icon, and we're really looking forward to it.
Brilliant.
Just to touch on that as well, although an expo is excellent for those who want to exhibit, as in businesses and stuff, for us as athletes, runners, and everything in between, like I've been into, or I'll drive into one of the shopping centres and then I know, okay, I have to walk all the way over there to go in and try this one, and then I have to go back in the car because there's a good running shop if I can make it down there. It almost turns into this mission over a couple of days to try and find everything. And I know, let's talk about it. It is an experience to try, and have it all in the one space for a runner to. I always say that an exhibition is an opportunity to educate yourself of what is the latest in garment, what is the latest in, and again, I'm saying things I don't know who your exhibitors are. Maybe I mentioned people that might not be there, but to understand the latest that's trending, offers, to try on a different t-shirt and see how it feels. Because the scariest thing, and especially now with the realm of online shopping, you can buy something online, you go for a run in it, you find it chafes, or you didn't really like the material, the shoes. That's the beauty of having everything in one space as well, that within a couple of hours you can educate yourself on the entire season of running clothing brands, everything to do with running for 2026.
Yeah, but absolutely. And as I said, I've been doing this job for the last 20 years across lots of different industries. And it's exactly that, sort of, we live in a world now of online shopping, but people still want to try out things. Certain products you can't try out online and post back, things like your gels or your nutrition, and actually, do you know what, it's a lot of money and time and effort goes into, if you buy something and it's not right, you have to return it. So certainly in terms of buyers, ourselves, who are our target audience, yes, we definitely want to be able to go and try something out and touch it and feel it and lift it, and and as I said, in terms of the brands we have on board, we are so delighted. We have the likes of everything from Shocks, the earphones, to and we have worked really hard to curate an event for everybody. So to make sure there's something for everybody. So I mentioned the likes of the Shocks and the Kip running brand from Decathlon, absolutely amazing, huge on the global stage. But then equally, this is a homegrown event. This is an event for Irish runners, and both north and south. So the likes of Alter Nutrition and we have the local, we're seeing a massive, which is brilliant, Irish nutrition brands are coming into the market now, and they're just absolutely fabulous and knocking the socks off of the brands that have been there before. So we've got quite a few of those brands coming on board, and everything in between. But also, you mentioned this works for the suppliers and the manufacturers as well, and that's why they're very keen to come on board, is because this is their opportunity. You know, if you're a manufacturer or supplier, you know, when you sell online, when you put your brand on Amazon, you don't know what your end user is saying. You don't know what your target audience is saying. You don't know what the feedback is. You don't know when somebody says, do you know what? I really like this in blue, but if you did it in pink, I would buy 100 of them. Or I really like the lemon flavor, but actually strawberry is my favorite flavor. So if you could make a strawberry one, I'd buy it, you know. And that's where it's a learning experience for everybody in a nice, you know, sort of informal environment where no pressure on anybody, and you know, then the fun aspect to it as well. And actually, do you know what? It's talking about your favorite products and your favorite pastime.
Is this, look, it's coming up very fast. Now, next thing we know will be Christmas and then straight into February. But in terms of people might be listening for brands or athletes or run clubs, stuff like that, is everything locked in, or can they still get involved?
We have still time and space for everybody to come on board. So we're working through the list of suppliers at the moment. We still have space and time for brands to come on board. In terms of the running clubs and you know, the whether you're whether you want to run or you're just thinking about it, or whether, you know, you have done Dublin Marathon in your best time. The tickets are now on sale, and they will be on sale right up until, you know, the event happens. So on our website, www.nirunningshow.com, we have the ticket links. And then also if a brand did want to come on board, my contact details are on the website, oonagh@nirunningshow.com. Please get in touch and drop me an email. As I say, it's a carefully curated event, so we're working with brands of all sizes, and it isn't for a lot of brands. Everybody likes something different, and we are making sure that we are appealing to everybody. So, for example, the smaller independent, you know, we have a tasty treat zone, which is working really well for the nutrition and the food suppliers. But then equally, you know, we have, as I mentioned, the likes of the Shocks and the Decathlon. These guys, you know, do these events on a global scale, so we can accommodate everybody. But yes, it is coming up very fast, but we will be, you know, we are still accommodating everybody.
Does everybody include two faces for radio and talking myself in there?
Don't want to hurt your feelings, Sean. But you have a great face for radio. You have a great face for radio. But yes, we're so excited that, Sean, you will be there chatting to everybody. So anybody who you didn't get to see or you haven't got to see, we'll just, do you know what? We're going to tie you to one of the posts and just...
Oh, God.
And let people do whatever they want. So it's up to them.
I feel like you were talking to Eric right before this podcast started.
This was preloaded. This was definitely preloaded. Oonagh, people are hearing the fact that there's tickets, but this is a reasonable costing event. And I have to say, when we bought tickets for some shows we've gone to, we were pleasantly surprised. And also, because we are going to be there, we're exhibiting, people can also use our discount code to get in touch. How much are the tickets? And again, we've already mentioned they'll be available on your website with our discount code.
Yeah, so the tickets are £13 sterling, but with the discount, and for any given Runday listeners, that comes down to 10. It goes through there's a discount, and it's £10 sterling for a ticket, which is around the 11 euro. But the reason behind that is we want this is an event for everybody, and children go free as well if they're accompanied by an adult, and if you've got a couple of children, the children are very welcome as well to join us. So this is an event for everybody. We understand that running isn't. A lot of people spend a lot of money on your kit and your trainers, but we wanted to make sure that the tickets were of a reasonable cost for everybody to attend.
So, Oonagh, clubs are obviously, as we've discussed at the very start, were vital for you, the rivalries, the fun, and we want to bring them together. You also have something very special in mind for the clubs.
Absolutely. And just as you say, my goodness, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have my wonderful Glens runners. I every time I have to mention them. But every club in both every Athletics Ireland and Athletics NI club and a social club please get in touch with us, DM our socials, or they can get in touch with you guys. We have allocated 2 pairs of free tickets for every club or sort of social club, and that please give those to your unsung heroes, or your people who work so hard behind the scenes, or do you know what, or somebody who got their PB in at the Dublin Marathon. But there is we've allocated 2 pairs of free tickets for everybody within every running club in Ireland.
It's a really special incentive for clubs. Anyone who's gone out of their way to organise a 5K in the rain, or people who keep showing up and showing that consistency. It's a nice little gift, I suppose, to give thanks and recognition for people. And it's so good that you're doing it, because at the end of the day, this is all about community and to create an event that we can bring people together. And I suppose for clubs as well, it's an opportunity to register. They can message you on Instagram, and if you can't even find them and you're lost, you can definitely contact us. We're more than happy to share your details on with Oonagh. And once your club is registered, I suppose if 3 or 4 people from the club register, you're going to have to fight it out. But it's good to see that you'll be interested. That could lead to a very good sporting Christmas event of a 5K to win the tickets. But it's fantastic to see that you have considered everyone, Oonagh. And I'm not saying this as you're an event organizer, you're in the business, but you can tell that this event is from the heart. And to have clubs and to have individuals who are thinking about it, or experts, it's great to see. It's really refreshing, and so good that you as an event are considering the clubs and the people behind them, because it is the people who give up their time, who give up their nights, sometimes away from their family for everybody's peace. But it's also valuable to so many other people, no different to you, putting your effort into organising this event so that we can enjoy a social for everything. So it is a fantastic opportunity. So let's hope people start registering. They'll consider on the 7th and 8th of February, the Northern Ireland Running Show. We will be there along with our sponsors as well, Perform, and Ultra Pure Laboratories will be there as well. So those who have received any freebies from them will be able to meet them in person and see what else they've got in store for them.
And with that said, see you guys February 7th and 8th. That's it for this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. So myself, Oonagh and Eric, take care.